It's 11 o'clock. So I know that we'll get more people as we move on, but we'll go ahead because we want to make sure that everybody's time is used wisely. So welcome to this week's Purdue at Westgate in Defense in Indiana webinar series. My name is Samantha Nelson, and I'm the program manager for Purdue at Westgate, which is within the Westgate Academy. We at Purdue at Westgate strive to promote business and talent growth, and we want to help support you as a startup, a small business, and academia. We strive to be the regional hub of connection and support. Purdue at Westgate is located directly outside of the gates of the Naval Support Activity Center, Crane, Indiana. Today, I'm excited to be hosting this webinar that will discuss small business opportunities within the U.S. Army ERDC. We're going to start off with Andy Alexander, who is an Indiana PTAC specialist. He will give you a quick rundown of his initiative and how it fits within the main presentation of ERDCWERX's initiative. We do ask that you mute your microphones during the presentation, but you may leave your video on if you are comfortable to do so. If you have any questions during the course of the presentation, please use the chat function at the bottom of your screen, and the presenters will answer your questions at the end of the session. This webinar will be recorded, and copies of the presentation will be sent to you directly after the webinar. So I will let Andy take it over. Thanks, Andy.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here real quick. And Samantha, you'll need to tell me if everyone can see my first slide there.
Yes.
All right, I'll commence the speaking. I'm excited about being down here at Purdue University's Westgate Academy. It's one of my favorite hotspots that I visit in my 22 county area. We've had a rainy day today, but a nice drive down from Nashville, so it worked out good. I'm one of 6 PTAC counselors here in Indiana, and we received a letter from the director of ERDC asked for our support and collaboration with the organization. And my boss, the state director, said yes immediately. And Andy, you take the lead on it, and if it works well, then we're going to expand it. Well, I can tell you right now, it's going to work well with over 40 people signed up today on this webinar. And we will expand it to the other 5 regions, which I'm going to show you in a second. But I'm proudly a member of the Procurement Technical Assistance Center's Counselors. It's free services for Indiana businesses. This kind of gives you a mission overview. We're under the Indiana Economic Development Corporation up at the state capitol, and 6 of us of the staff are government procurement specialists. And we provide some of these services you see on the left right there to Indiana businesses. And in my area, we're having a banner year with my goals at 35 million. Projecting I'll close out at $100 million because of the clients that I have out here and their efforts to bid for government contracts. These are the areas throughout Indiana that we cover. I'm in area 5 there. And in the future, they may take half of my area away and be looking at a counselor down in New Albany. But up in the Northwest area, we had a vacancy, but now we have a new counselor at Lafayette at Purdue University. It's a big event. I just have to make sure if he wears Purdue logos, he's got to have Apex Accelerator on there too. So this is my name. And if you're not using PTAC services, shame on you. You need to stop that. Call me today, email me, Google my name, Andy Alexander, Indiana, and you can read everything that I help businesses with. So we're excited about hearing from our friends at the ERDCWERX and to get more educated on that today, and then our support here with the PTAC. At this time, I'd like to turn this back over to Samantha to introduce our guest speaker.
Okay, great. Thanks, Andy. Andy, after the presentations, we do have someone that wants you to explain a little bit the Apex Accelerator, but we'll wait till after we hear from ERDC. So, as everyone might be aware, the defense industry has a lot of acronyms, but I wanted to try and clarify what ERDC is if you're not familiar. So ERDC is the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center, and ERDCWERX is an innovation hub for DefenseWERX. They provide a streamlined path to collaboration and contracting with the ERCD. They provide events, tech challenges, and other opportunities that make it easier and faster for innovators to propose solutions for consideration. These opportunities then turn into contracts and agreements that are awarded to industry and academia. Janice Karcher, who is the Deputy Director of ERDCWERX, and her team will help explain this further. So with no further ado, Janice, take it over.
Thank you, Sam and Andy. It's great to join you all today. Really appreciate this time from everyone and hope to make it very worthwhile for you. And so I will share a screen here with a great PowerPoint that helps tell our story. One of the things that will be, I think, really opportune for you all is not only to know about ERDCWERX, but to know about how the federal government is more and more using innovation hubs to help lift up and provide access to contracting opportunities, especially when it relates to technology transfer and technology transition. So innovation coming into the federal government from organizations like yours, as well as innovation coming out of the federal government that may point to some new business opportunities for you all. So Sam, can I please confirm that everyone can see my slide deck?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So I will move right through this information then. So the first slide you should see here is entitled The Power of ERDC. So the Engineer R&D Center of the U.S. Army is actually positioned within the Army Corps. However, they view most of the federal government as a customer. So not only do they work on applied engineering and R&D activities in support of the Army Corps, they do that work in support of many other federal government entities, as well as each branch of the military. So as you can see from the laboratory map here, you're actually located quite close to one of the ERDC labs, which is located in Champaign, Illinois. The Construction Engineering Research Lab is located there. They are specialists in warfighter engineering. So some of those disciplines include the use of automation and robotics in the way that Army engineers support our troops. They're also specialists in additive construction and engineering. Sorry about that. And many other disciplines that relate to how installations, military and otherwise, modernize and utilize technology to advance the way that our warfighters and government entities are supported. As you can see, ERDC not only has 7 labs that range from IT and a focus on coastal and hydraulics, environmental solutions, geotechnical and structures like protective structures and survivability for our troops. But they also have, as I mentioned, the Construction Engineering and Research Lab, a geospatial research lab, and also a cold regions research lab, which is critical as we find ourselves more and more defending and operating in the Arctic regions. And last but not least, there are several field offices. A couple that are very notable is a very long pier located in Duck, North Carolina, where teams do work regarding coastal erosion and flood risk management. And ERDC is also the host and operator of an Alaska research office, which includes the Thermofrost Tunnel. The focus of the work at ERDC and these 7 labs is quite diverse, but basically you can really think about them in 2 big buckets. One is civil works on the top left here, the other is military engineering on the top right. In order to serve those applications, there are a lot of specialties within those 2 categories, including engineered resilient systems, where they're doing modeling and helping to test and influence the design of future equipment for the military and other branches, geospatial and remote sensing, as well as the operation and enhancement and modernization of military installations. ERDC and these 7 labs really determined that they wanted to establish a partnership intermediary. That's the form of agreement that we have. So we actually represent a competed contract. We have a 5-year agreement with ERDC, and this current 5-year agreement is actually comes on the heels of a previous 4-year agreement. So we're in year 5 of a 9-year relationship at this point with these 4 goals in mind. ERDC is interested to expand its network to not only identify current federal contractors, defense contractors who have a key capability that matches what ERDC needs to work on, but then also to be part of the solution for them to expand the defense supply chain and increase the awareness of how small businesses and academia can collaborate with these labs in solving some of the nation's most challenging problems. Along with that, we're here to help them leverage their innovation strengths, help them save time and accelerate the progress of their projects. And then last but not least, simplify the process for business and academia to come forward with project concepts that help ERDC determine how they might work with you going forward. So I'll share some case studies and some information about how this process works. One of the keys here, though, is that we are not the only partnership intermediary. So there are a number of organizations like ours, nearly 100 now, that are really kind of leaning forward to industry and academia to make it easier for you to find federal contracting opportunities. So our government partner, just as those of the rest of our DefenseWERX innovation hubs, all post their opportunities on SAM.gov. The challenge is that it's hard to find things in SAM.gov. Having been a PTAC counselor and having a PTAC team on my group as an economic developer, I can speak firsthand to how we recognize that businesses make choices about where they spend their time, on the kinds of business that they pursue, and we're here to lower the cost of sales, lower the barrier of entry, and make it easier for those that are interested and that have unique capabilities to come forward to work with ERDC. However, we are also one of 10 innovation hubs as part of DefenseWERX. So, Mr. Potorti, I noticed you nodding with regard to these other innovation hubs. One of the most visible innovation hubs within our family of hubs is SOFWERX. They support Special Ops Command and have had a lot of visible activity over the years. However, we're growing, and so some large federal organizations have come on board with new innovation hubs as part of our family of hubs, and that includes the CIA and Department of Homeland Security, as well as Naval X. So they're some of the newer within the family here. But suffice that to say that I'd like to encourage all of you to consider partnership intermediaries. Wright Brothers Institute is one, for example, right next door in Ohio. And we are here to make it easier for you to find contracting and agreement opportunities, collaboration opportunities with our government partners. So please take a look at those. Lastly, if you go to DefenseWERX, WERX.org, you will find the list of all of the innovation hubs that are part of our DefenseWERX family. And there's one simple ecosystem sign up. So basically sign up for the distribution network, and you can check the box for each of the hubs that you'd like to receive announcements from, including ERDCWERX. So that's a good, easy step to identify the hubs, including ERDCWERX, hopefully, that you'd like to receive project announcements from going forward. Now, a little bit about ERDCWERX ourselves. We have a team of 10. We are growing, and we're located in Vicksburg, Mississippi, with both digital and physical presence. So you can easily access us from anywhere around the world through social media, particularly LinkedIn. Please find us on LinkedIn and follow us. You'll find some very helpful postings about project opportunities there. But then we also operate 2 websites, ERDCWERX.org and ERDCinnovation.org. And I'll tell you a bit about how both of those work and the kinds of information that you will find on them. And lastly, we operate an innovation hub here as part of the Mississippi Center for Innovation and Technology. We're certainly part of a focus on economic development and government contracting for the state of Mississippi, but on behalf of ERDC, we reach out around the world to find innovators that could be potential collaborative partners with ERDC. We really focus on two things with ERDC. Spin-in kinds of opportunities where you may have a prototype concept or an innovative idea that fits what ERDC is looking for, and then spin out. ERDC is an innovative organization. They patent 12 to 16 new patented concepts every year, and we are promoting their patents for commercialization. So there are a number of innovations that I'll talk about later that could be an opportunity for you to license and take to market to serve both the defense and federal government customers that are interested, as well as commercial customers that may be interested. So why does this matter? What kind of activity have we had? As you can see in the circle, in the last couple of years, ERDC has actually awarded over $105 million to organizations, industry, and academia who have submitted through our platform. So that includes, as you can see on the top right, organizations that have committed, or excuse me, that have submitted for tech challenge opportunities, organizations that have submitted for other transaction authority. It's a non-FAR contracting mechanism that ERDC is using to fund prototype development activities. And then last but not least, commercial solutions opportunities, that's the CSO acronym. And those are basically forms of solicitation that lift up broad categories like installations of the future and then highlight the areas of interest that ERDC has within that scope. And so on our website, you will see that there are actually 4, 5, 6 CSO categories open right now, with over 30 different project opportunities available to submit for and compete for business opportunity. Our distribution list, our ecosystem is growing, so we have over 17,000 contacts in that system, which means that we send targeted emails to those who've signed up in our ecosystem, so I encourage you to do that. And that way you receive something in your inbox with an announcement of projects that we believe could be a fit for you. Lastly, we've reviewed over 100 patents at ERDC and are currently promoting, I think we're up to about 28 right now, patented technologies at ERDC that are available and seeking a commercialization partner. Here's an example of a project that we've supported for ERDC. ERDC is funded by the Army, in this case, to support the Army installation and base modernization strategy. And ERDC is implementing a pilot focused on how the Army may adopt a strategic smart installation and community dashboard throughout its bases. This starts with a pilot. So Fort Benning, Georgia was identified by the Army as the pilot location for this smart installation and community dashboard pilot. There is $3.7 million that's been awarded for this project. And when it was announced on our platform in August 2021, we conducted the market research to identify candidates for this project. So hundreds of people received a targeted email based on what we knew about the capabilities of those firms. 11 quality submissions came in for ERDC. Historically, they've posted things on sam.gov and gotten little or no response. So part of our job is to generate that high quality level of submissions for ERDC so they can review and determine which of the candidates they'd like to negotiate with and possibly fund. In this case, you can see it moved forward quite quickly. So the project was announced in August. By the end of August, 11 organizations had submitted their proposals for how they would deliver smart installation and community dashboard at Fort Benning, Georgia. And ERDC selected one of those submissions as their preferred vendor, and over a couple of months negotiated the details, and by December that same year, ERDC had awarded this contract for $3.7 million and started the work at Fort Benning, Georgia with the selected contractor. So it is an example of how we move forward quickly, but also how we are supporting ERDC's post of these projects on sam.gov, so you can always find them there in sam.gov, but then how we also bring these opportunities to you if it appears that there's a project that could be a fit for your firm. So here's another example of a project. ERDC is supporting the Army Corps of Engineers in thinking about how to use augmented reality and virtual reality technologies in their flood risk management efforts. So in this case, there were some loose parameters. ERDC is interested to kind of see what's possible from potential vendors in the marketplace. And in this case, this project was announced this year in August. And it was seeking companies that basically were interested to compete for a prize challenge from us and then be considered for a physical demo at ERDC with the researchers. So this project moved quickly as well. Typically, these specific project opportunities are available and open for about a month with some very aggressive promotion on our part through email, social media, and through professional and trade associations that represent companies and academic organizations that could be a fit. In this case, 14 submissions were received. 5 were hosted for a virtual pitch with the researchers, and 3 were selected to receive a prize challenge award from us of $15,000 each. And they are now being scheduled to be hosted at ERDC for physical demos of their AR/VR technologies. So these are a couple examples of the way we work with ERDC to lift up these opportunities, and also I think give you a sense for the types of projects that ERDC is bringing to us. What kind of feedback are we getting from private sector folks who participate? We're definitely hearing that the process of working through ERDCWERX to submit project opportunities to ERDC is making the process more kind of engaging, more visible, and also more responsive as we work with the researchers to turn around evaluations and feedback to the submitters in 60 days or less. We're also finding that companies realize that it's difficult to achieve participating in a physical demo or engaging with the researchers to get the opportunity to talk about the company's capabilities directly with folks that might ultimately award a contract. So AtCor Razor Ribbon is actually featured in this photo as part of the demo that they conducted at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for a project that ERDC hosted. And then, of course, we've got companies that are just excited and motivated by contributing to ERDC's goal of helping our warfighters and protecting them and providing them new solutions that incorporate technology and incorporate advanced materials that save lives and make our country more and more competitive. The second website that we host is ERDCinnovation.org. So I encourage those who are interested to consider ERDC patents and the possibility of possibly licensing and commercializing those patents for ERDC to take a look at this site. You'll see that there are bundles of patents in industries like construction, electronics and sensors, environment and energy, materials, and protective structures and systems. We also work to give visibility to ERDC's leadership. So we help them pursue national awards that they certainly are worthy of. So 2 of the lab directors, actually the overall lab director of ERDC, Dr. Pittman, was recognized this last year. And then the lab director of the Geotechnical and Structures Lab, Mr. Durst, was recognized as Lab Director of the Year by the Federal Lab Consortium. But perhaps more importantly on this slide, we are available for speaking engagements with ERDC. So if you're part of a trade association that you think might benefit from having us tell the story about partnership intermediaries and this new approach to federal government contracting, please pass our names along or send your professional association staff to us to see if we can work out a time for a webinar, or possibly even being in attendance physically at upcoming conferences. Excuse me. I'll close out by providing these helpful links. ERDCWERX.org. This is the site that features projects that ERDC is seeking submissions from you all, from innovators around the country and around the world. So ERDCWERX.org makes it easy for you to submit pre-proposal level content. So when I say pre-proposal, we're talking 3-page white paper, no big detailed budget, just a rough order of magnitude of what the price point is likely to be based on what you're proposing. If that is of interest to ERDC, they can respond in 2 ways. One, they could say, this fits something we're funded to work on right now, let's go into negotiation. Or they could say, this fits something that we think we're going to work on in the next couple of years, and we'd like to put your white paper in the library. The library basically allows them to just dust that white paper off when funding hits, not have to recompete because this platform satisfies fair and open competition. And when funding hits, then they can move into negotiation. And then lastly, of course, if a submission comes in and it's just not a fit with anything that ERDC believes that they want to work on in the future or are funded to work on now, they will let you know quickly and encourage you to come forward with additional ideas that might be a fit based on what they're describing that they're interested to collaborate on. So those are the 3 paths forward, and ERDC responds quickly with our help to evaluate these 3-page white papers and to provide feedback about whether there's some potential synergy there or whether it's a close miss and it might be worthwhile to resubmit for or submit for something else. And then of course, ERDCinnovation.org features patents with a lot of detail about the commercialization potential of each of those technologies, many of which have been patented and tested, and so can be viewed physically in terms of what that design looks like. Please find us on social media, especially LinkedIn. And once again, you can go to DEFENSEWERX.org and sign up for the distribution lists or the ecosystem for all of our innovation hubs at DEFENSEWERX. Or on ERDCWERX.org, you can click that button and sign up just to receive announcements from ERDCWERX. So that's it for my presentation content. I hope you found it helpful, and we certainly look forward to the opportunity to work with each of you to pursue opportunities that might be a fit for you and are consistent with the things that ERDC is innovating on and working on today and into the future. Sam?
Great. Thank you, Janice. That was very informative. It's obviously there's a lot of opportunities that people could potentially collaborate with you and understand a little more. Before we go into any questions, I do want to address the question about the Apex Accelerator. And I don't want to make it the Andy show. So just want him to kind of give a little bit. Somebody was asking that question, so it's a fair question. Andy?
Oh, you want me to go ahead? Okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm looking up the Office of Secretary of Defense's definition of the new apexes. So you may have to come back to me. But one thing I wanted to ask Janice to stay focused on ERDC. Robert Patori's online, and he's got a big smile on his face because we just did a white paper, Rob. And I've done 9 this year, and most of them are OTAs with the SOCOM, different organizations of the 9 services.
Great.
So I wondered if, since we got some time here, if Robert could give an elevator speech on what he has quoted in his white paper to you as an example to educate him and I and others on if what he has is something that you all would consider through the ERDC.
And if I may, I will say, Andy, that ERDC does a great job of utilizing our website to describe the kinds of projects they're working on and the nature of white papers that they're interested to see. So so I would just say that and thank you, Mr. Patori, for your patience. We are not the evaluators. We are the hosts of a platform that make it easier for you to submit. and make it easier for the ERDC researchers to review and provide feedback and connect with innovators. So, so I'll say all that to say that I'm not the technician to respond to the nature of Mr. Potorti's white paper content.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll, like Christian has put on the chat box, we'll go to the website, we'll submit his white paper through those channels and let it get into the process.
Thank you, Kristen, for helping provide the helpful links in the chat.
Okay, I see great value in this. Matter of fact, of all 9 services that I get these type briefings from different acronyms and that, this is one of the better briefings. Your slides are easy to understand. I like your process. Some of them are so convoluted, I'm embarrassed to tell a business here in Indiana to even apply because I don't understand it. But yours, I think, will be exceptional.
Thank you.
And my screen keeps changing here, and I'm going to read this off. Here we go. An Apex accelerator. Like anything, an apex is a corner or the highest point you can reach in something. And the Office of Small Business Programs in DC briefed all 600 PTAC counselors in DC here in November that they were changing the name because they picked up our program from Defense Logistics Agency. But here in Indiana, we haven't formally rolled it out yet. We're going to be educated on that next Tuesday by our program manager. But I can read the mission statement, which is Apex will serve as the axis for existing and new business to strengthen the defense industrial base by accelerating innovation, fostering ingenuity, and establishing resilient and defense supply chains. That's pretty much what we do, but we're just going to pick up a pace a little bit on the entrepreneurial side of it on acceleration. Their vision is a diverse and resilient domestic industrial base, and that can deliver permanent solutions to the military and other government users. So that's what that's about. So there'll be more coming on it for Indiana businesses. Some of the 97 programs around the country, PTAC, have put out some things, but Indiana, we're a state-driven organization as a team, and we will move into this new Apex, spearheading into it as our program manager leads us. So that's it for Apex.
All right. Well, thank you, Andy. So a couple questions for you, Janice. Someone would like for you to elaborate a little more on what WERXWERX is.
Yeah, I see that question from Aaron. Thank you, Sam. So DEFENSEWERX, the WERX, I'm told, is a reference back to skunkworks, which was kind of, how to MacGyver a solution in a way that responds quickly to a need in the field. And so DEFENSEWERX is a nonprofit organization that has competed for RFIs and RFPs from the federal government to win these innovation hub relationships with various federal government entities. And the capability in these innovation hubs will vary based on our government partner. So some have less focus on commercializing patents because their government partner doesn't patent much innovation, for example. And others like SoftWorks with SOCOM may have more of a focus on finding the latest and greatest technology or portable solution that our Green Berets could wear on their person to help monitor their health and well-being. And so our projects will vary pretty significantly based on our government partner, but this is definitely a growing trend within the federal government to compete for the attention of folks like yourselves and highlight the need for industry and academia partnerships that address these needs of our warfighters and the country overall.
And then, and from the same person, from Aaron, maybe a little more about the hierarchy of who governs who.
Yeah, so I'll start with the hubs. So we are empowered by a public act, and all of that information is referred to on our website if someone wants to get into the details of the empowering and authorizing language. And that language comes out of the Department of Defense. When it comes to ERDC and these 7 labs, in terms of their hierarchy, they are structurally part of the U.S. Army Corps. However, a significant part of the work that they do is actually earned revenue from projects that another federal government entity has indicated that they'd like to hire ERDC to work on. So Department of Homeland Security, for example, and State Department and the Air Force and the Army, as I mentioned with the pilot projects earlier, are engaged with ERDC and view ERDC as a problem solver for some of the critical objectives that have been adopted by federal government departments that require some applied engineering and innovation to help either determine what's available in the marketplace and evaluate it, or innovate something new that addresses a gap in the solutions that are available to the Department of Defense.
Great. So another question, we know a lot of organizations focus on bids, and in this case, innovative designs and ideas. So can your team assist at all with micro purchasing products for the actual facilities and warehouses?
That is a lane that we do not operate in, and having come from having a PTAC team in economic development, I certainly understand the interest from Renault in that regard. There are other entities within the Department of Defense and the rest of the federal government, particularly small business offices, that could be a resource along with your PTAC office in identifying those product and service kinds of purchasing and bid opportunities.
Okay, great.
Good.
Just also, so you know, they did put some links in the chat function on ERDC, ERDC patents, current opportunities, and just the ecosystem. So make sure you visit those links, and we certainly can put them within the presentation and recording that we send to you as well, so we can make sure that we get those in there. Is there any other questions? I know the briefing, like Andy said, was good. It was to the point. It was very easy to understand, so I appreciate that. But if there's any other questions, we can take them now.
Is it okay if I ask a question out loud?
Absolutely.
Okay, so a little bit easier to conceptualize for me verbally. And thank you for your great explanations to the questions I already asked, Janice.
Great.
The reason I was asking them is I'm kind of in a boat where I've got an idea or a concept that I want to talk to someone at the government level about rolling out or incorporating or doing R&D. And for me, it's a little overwhelming that there are so many ways to do it with all of the different organizations and acronyms, whether it's the Cyber Sitter program or responding to a BAA. And so and I guess what I'm looking for is here for you, if you could confirm my understanding. It sounds like with ERDCWERX, I could talk to someone there, get into the ecosystem and start clicking around and talking to people, and then if I was in the wrong place, you could send me to the right place.
We're definitely willing to help in that way.
Okay.
And at the same time, our scope is governed by our government partner ERDC. So the kinds of innovation that they're working on is guided by the nature of their labs. So no medical technology or human systems, health-related design or any of those kinds of things, because they don't have a lab of that nature. But we are here to help you easily submit 2 or 3 pages, have someone look at it within one of the labs that could be a fit, and provide some feedback quickly about whether it's a fit for the work they do. Now, what we also often do is monitor the activity of the other innovation hubs within DEFENSEWERX, and may see some crossover opportunity in projects that they're supporting. So we look forward to the opportunity to work with you, and want to encourage you to take a look at how you might submit a white paper with a new R&D concept or new solution, keeping in mind that we want to discourage any inclusion of confidential or proprietary information. Hopefully enough can be said that dances around the details and explains the nature of the innovation without giving up what you consider or giving visibility to what you consider to be confidential until you can get an NDA and engage at that level of conversation where it's worthwhile to share that level of detail.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Janice, do you have a link to the privacy policy that relates to submissions received?
If folks visit our website, you'll see that there are published commercial solutions opening guidelines and broad agency opportunity guidelines, the OTA guidelines. And so ERDC addresses those confidentiality and privacy policies in those documents.
Okay. And do we have to have license from you for the contract? How about our own IP for such government contract?
Yeah, to the point, and I think I understand the question, to the point of your own IP, again, we discourage, and you'll read it loud and clear in the guidelines, we discourage anyone from giving visibility to what you consider to be confidential or proprietary in any submissions. And we understand that that can be part of what makes your solution unique. But if there's a way to explain the nature of the innovation in the white paper, and then hope for an engagement where you can get some protection in place and then share more of the detail of what you consider to be your unique IP, that's what we would suggest.
Great questions, great questions. Does ERDCWERX help people get their tech patented?
We do not. We are a service provider to ERDC, to our government partner, and so we support their innovation disclosure process and thoughts about what the commercialization paths might be going forward for innovations that they're working on. But they have their own patent attorneys, and we are not patent attorneys ourselves. So we would suggest that innovators out there who may be working on something related to a federal government opportunity connect with your PTAC or your Small Business Development Center resources to identify patenting and other critical resources like that.
Good, good. Really good questions. It sounds like people are definitely wanting to talk to you about some or at least submit some future opportunities. So it sounds like a great opportunity. So we do still have a little bit of time for some questions if anybody has any further, or Andy, if you would like to say anything else.
Yeah, Janice, so you all have a format for a white paper. I looked up white papers in the FAR, I think chapter 12, and I pulled the template out of there by the wording. And then I created a one-page white paper, you know, like a commander's estimate of the situation in the military uses.
Sure.
Can you give me an idea what your white papers look like?
Yeah, ERDC provides the guidelines for the content and the order of content that they'd like to see. So when you visit ERDCWERX.org, you'll see that you can go to current events and tech challenges, but then you'll also see a red banner across the top of the website that says prototype opportunities, for example. Those are OTA opportunities, other transaction authority, which, by the way, ERDC takes a unique approach to other transaction authorities. They have 3 OTA designations, one focused on military engineering, one on engineered resilient systems, which is cybersecurity, high performance computing, and then a third, which is energy, environment, and demilitarization. Only one of them has an active consortium in place right now. The other 2 are intentionally not exclusive to a consortium, and ERDC is receiving and funding white papers with OTA agreements directly with the submitting party. But each of those categories, commercial solutions, prototype opportunities, have guidelines that identify the content that ERDC would like to see in the order that they'd like to see it.
Great, that's a well-organized approach.
Yeah, ERDC does a great job of kind of providing the guidelines, but also encouraging a fairly, open range of ideas, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, right? And so we're encouraged to be helping ERDC understand what kinds of innovation might be out there in our small businesses and innovators, and helping them connect to solutions that you may all have that could help solve a problem for our federal government customers here at ERDC.
Great, great. Well, as I had mentioned, we will be sending a copy of this recording as well as the presentation slides that both Andy and Janice had sent. And we'll also provide you with their contact info. So we encourage you to reach out. This is one of the reasons why we do this, is we have a pretty broad reach with what we're doing. So we're happy to help make some connections in order to build this ecosystem and obviously create solutions for the challenges that are out there. So thank you, Andy and Janice, for participating in this.
Absolutely.
So this is one of the ways we do this. We do, I know some of you are not local, but we do have a First Tuesday event that we have here where it's very similar, but it is in person. And we have a presentation just like this, and then we offer some light refreshments afterwards where there's a networking session. And it's really from 4 to 6, but more times than not, people are talking after that. We kind of have to push them out the door because there's a lot of conversations happening, which is a good thing. But we do encourage you to, if you're in the area, to stop by. It is near Crane, Indiana. We're actually considered Odin, but we're right, like I said, right outside the gates of the naval installation. So we encourage you to come. You can visit the westgateacademy.com. I believe it's westgate-academy.com. You can see the past webinars and past events that we've done, as well as any future that we will be doing. So I appreciate your participation in this. Somebody had asked me the address here. It's 13598 East Westgate Drive, and that's considered Odin, Indiana. So we just finished up one on Tuesday of last week where we had an FBI agent here, an NCIS agent, and a cybersecurity agent speaking on the espionage, foreign espionage, and foreign adversaries. So it was a very, very good event. We couldn't provide the information of who was the presenters. So we were very happy that we had the attendance we did, because they didn't want to put their names out there until they were here. So, but yeah, we do encourage you to stop by. We appreciate you coming at any point in time. Just stop by if you're here, even if you're in the area. So, well, thank you again. And I look forward to hearing from you, seeing you all at some other point in time. And thank you, Janice and Andy. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the day.
All right. Peace out.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.